Hey there, Shrine Runners! Hello, and welcome to the Fox Shrine. I'm Araxis, your host, and today I'm going to be playing some more Please Be Happy. It's been a bit since I've gotten a chance to play, so I have forgotten a little bit of what was going on, although I do recall that a major sort of like thing coming up is Juliet thinking of returning to the Underworld. And like we've got the option to go with her, certainly, but we'll have to sort of like see how things play out anyway. Especially considering Juliet going to the underworld would see her immortality ending. So I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right. So let's get into the game, shall we? Alrighty then.
Ugh, it's about time. I was getting bored.
Oh, 86% complete. Yet we're definitely coming on the ending here. I'll have to think about what we want to do next. Alright. I'm warm. That's the first thought that comes into my head as I wake up. Not just the normal warmth of my bed and covers, but there's something else. Something different. I groggily open my eyes and look around, but nothing appears any different. When I roll over onto my side, my necklace bumps against my chest. That's when I realize the source. My bead is what's causing it. Not only has its glow gotten brighter, but when I simply hold my hand near it, I can feel heat emanating. I'm almost afraid to touch it, but when I finally do, it feels as cool as ever to my fingers. There is something else that's different about it, though. A crack runs across it, so thin that I have to rub my eyes several times just to be able to see. I could almost mistake it for a hair or something, except I can feel that it's not. When I put my fingertip over the tiny fracture, my skin tingles, almost like a static shock. I can tell, either by instinct or touch, that the crack isn't surface level or caused by some damage. Instead, it comes from within, from something trying to get out. My heart starts to race, obliterating any lingering sleepiness. It still isn't ready, but it's getting closer. Soon, it'll be time. Jian-ho, Sky Fox. My instincts tell me that's my destiny, even if I don't know what it entails. I have mixed feelings about that, but mostly... Honestly, I'm excited for what being a Sky Fox could be. Like, that sounds cool, right? So, I'm gonna pick that one. It's intimidating, but it's also kind of exciting. It feels like anything could happen, and the promise of change is enough to make me want to see what comes next. Predictability of my daily life is comfortable and reassuring, but sometimes I can't help but miss the open possibilities that used to define it. Those days were harder, for sure, but it was the struggling that made me appreciate the good times when they happened. Now, I still appreciate everything and everyone that I have. I wouldn't mind a bit more excitement.
It's too early for all this.
Yeah, I'm with you, Miho. I only got up about 20 minutes ago or so. Stayed up a little bit late. Not that there would be a better time later. But I know that if I let myself think about these things for too long, I'll just start spiraling. Instead, I make myself get up and out of bed. For a small relief, the warmth from the bead had dissipated, like it just wanted me to notice it. It's still bright and still cracked, but at least it isn't uncomfortable. Hey there, Tiberius! How you going? After freshening up, I go downstairs, where I'm surprised to find an empty kitchen. Juliet isn't around, nor at breakfast or any dishes. I don't mind not having food prepared for me, but it is pretty odd. I go back upstairs and knock on her study door, but there's no answer. When I peek inside, I see the blanket I put around Juliet neatly draped across her chair, as well as the teapot that I filled for her on the desk. There's no Juliet, though. I try her bedroom as well, but it's also empty.
Juliet?
I call out her name, but it just echoes around the empty building with no response.
Weird.
I go back to the kitchen and then her study to confirm one thing. Her parasol is gone. She must have gone out somewhere. Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Go check the parasol. I grab some ingredients from the fridge and throw a pan onto the stove to make myself breakfast. I've never done it before, but I've seen Juliet cook enough times that it shouldn't be too hard. I prepare some eggs and toast, the same thing we usually have.
Not too bad.
The steaming meal isn't as tasty as what Juliet makes, but it's edible at least. At least she didn't burn the place down. The eggs are kind of rubbery, and the toast is more like slightly warm bread. But I eat it all anyway. Either way, I'm proud of myself for making it. As I'm finishing up, I feel something buzzing near my side, and it takes me a moment to realize it's my phone. I fish that out to see that I have a message from Juliet. Good morning. Are you awake? Hey there, TVPG! Now I'm going to assume that you're lying there, because I don't think anyone is happy with the sweet, sweet taste of capitalism. Not even the capitalists. They might think they are. They're just trapped in a never-ending circle of pursuing profit. How you going anyway? Yeah, I made food. I'm sorry I didn't cook for you. I'm at the mountain. Would you like to join me? Got an open house to visit on Friday for a college. Well, that'll be like an open day rather than an open house, right? Unless it's like going to see, like if you intend to sort of like stay on campus or something like that, and you're renting like a property there or some whatever. Yeah, all the best with that though. Enjoy yourself, Tiberius. Sure, on my way. Typing out each message is slow going, and judging by how long it takes for Juliet to respond, it's not easy for her either. I'm sure Aspen would have done it in half the time. People aren't experienced in texting. Still, it's a surprise to hear Juliet's up on Mount Victoria, especially at this sunny hour. I'm sure I'll find out why soon. After cleaning up after myself, I finish opening up the library and then head over to the mountain myself. That's one thing that I don't really like in writing when I notice it. When you use the same word twice in the same sentence. Like it doesn't to myself. That's one myself too much. I don't think Miho is a multiple. Anyway, it isn't hard to find Juliet up at the top when I get there. Her parasol stands out over the heads of the other early morning hikers as she waits for me on a bench.
Morning.
Hello, Miho.
I sit down beside Juliet, and she adjusts her parasol to give me some extra shade too.
I woke up and was surprised you weren't around. I didn't think you'd be here of all places.
When I left this morning, I had only intended to drop off the documents I finished preparing last night. But by then, it was nearly sunrise, so I thought to come up here and enjoy that. Sorry for falling asleep so suddenly last night. I appreciate you taking care of me, though.
Sometimes a girl's gotta sleep.
That's fine. It was nice to be able to do something for you for once. Even if that was just bringing you a blanket.
Not just for once. You bring me joy just by being around.
Oh, that's cute. I nuzzle against her, not caring that we're in public.
Still, it seemed like a weird time for you to fall asleep.
Yes. I've been having some trouble sleeping lately, I must admit. I catch a few hours here and there when I can.
I noticed. I've been hearing you around the house more often. Do you know why?
This and that. A lot on my mind.
I know what you mean. But hey, you said you finished your research project, right? So you'll be starting a new one now?
Actually, I won't. There haven't been any new requests.
Okay, so I felt like she was gonna say no, but I'm glad that it wasn't because she had decided to move. Like for certain, therefore wouldn't be doing any more. So, alright, well, we'll see how it goes.
Really? I thought you had tons of them.
I've been working through my backlog for a while, but I just finished the last of them.
Though another reason that she could be tired is because she has been going through her backlog to wrap up her affairs.
Oh.
Juliet and her research just go together in my head. I know it's how she spends most of her free time when we're not together. It's hard to picture her without something to work on.
You'll probably get some new ones soon, right?
Perhaps.
There's a tinge of sadness in her voice. Maybe I shouldn't have said that, especially if she's thinking about leaving soon. It would make sense for her to not want to start new ones. To change the subject, I hop to my feet and stroll over to the tall metal binoculars by the railing. Juliet stands up too and follows me. I feed a couple coins into the device and then press my eyes to it, looking out at the city. It's been a while since I've done this, and so I recognize a lot more now than I did before.
What do you see?
There's the skyport. That one's easy to find. And there's the bell house. Hi, Aspen.
Hi, Miho.
I can see some of the gardens from here, too. They're really pretty even from this far away.
I step away and gesture towards Juliet.
Wanna look?
Juliet hesitates for a moment, but then steps forward and takes my place. I jerk the view around quickly to point things out, but Juliet maneuvers it slowly and methodically, like she's inspecting every inch of Wellington.
How about you? What do you see?
She's quiet for a second.
There's Diana's house, where I just dropped off those papers this morning. Close by is a park where she used to take her children to play. They're all grown up now, though. We're lamenting that together. Oh, Heaven Sent is a flower shop that used to sell the most beautiful bouquets. I can just see their roof from here. It's since become a restaurant, but I recognize the bright blue on top. What else? Braylin Primary, just near the library. That's where Cassette went to school. There's also...
With a whir and a click, the binoculars run out of time, and Juliet moves away from that.
Oops. I suppose that's that.
Always put more in.
That was quite nice, though. I haven't seen several of those places in many years.
Glad you liked it.
Although she's smiling, I'm not actually sure she means it. Something suddenly makes sense to me. Something I should have expected, but only now understand. She saw a Wellington that doesn't exist anymore. One that I could never see, no matter how long I looked. Even if you stayed here in Wellington for 100, 200 years or something like that, and you started seeing a Wellington that didn't exist anymore, it wouldn't be the same Wellington that Juliet saw.
Well, I do believe I should be heading back. I'm sure I'll be itchy from all this sun, even with the shade. Will you be accompanying me?
Oh. Yeah, let's go.
Her abrupt decision to leave feels painfully expected, alongside what I just realized. It's twice in a row that I managed to make her feel bad by accident, even though I know I didn't do anything wrong. I had planned to tell her about the new changes to my bead, but it doesn't feel like the right time. It would just be another thing to weigh on her mind. I slip my hand into Juliet's as we walk. Even with the subdued mood, it's nice to feel her so close to me. I hope she feels the same way too. Alright. Over here, that's the rehearsals for the play, another meeting over there. So, my eyes start to glaze over as I flip to a new check-in sheet, marking off the last few books in a small pile of returns. Work isn't any busier than usual, but I'm finding it hard to stay focused. Tucked in a corner nearby are the books and worksheets that I've used to learn how to read and write. I've gone through almost all of them by now, practicing each letter hundreds of times. Even reading, which used to seem so mysterious and difficult, has gotten easier. I'm not as fast as Aspen or Juliet, of course. At least I'm not limited to the kids section of the library anymore. I think back to my first time coming here. I scoped the place out before trying to steal Cassette's painting. It was a dumb idea either way. I could have never guessed how that one bad decision would affect the rest of my life. It was here in the library that I told Aspen and Juliet that I wanted to learn how to be a person. At the time, it seemed almost as impossible as learning to read. A lot of impossible things have happened to me in this place, though. Now, what's hard to imagine is not having the library. What it would be like to walk out the doors for a final time and never go back. Seems as unbelievable as all the other changes that have occurred in my life. That's why I can't stop thinking about it. I know it could happen. Looking back at the papers in front of me, I glance through the list of names written there. Some are new, but others I recognize. Some people have been coming here longer than I have, while others have just visited for the first time. I wonder if I know them better than Juliet does. The library opens, and I look up to see a familiar face.
Hey, Aspen!
Aspen waves as she approaches the desk.
Hello, hello.
Hello, hello. She wasn't here for breakfast, so this is the first time I've seen her today. In fact, I was going to have to call her soon just to check in.
You're not working today?
No. In fact, I even asked to have my hours cut back a bit. I need all the writing time I can get.
Are you still trying to find a publisher?
Unfortunately. It's not all bad, though. I haven't gotten any outright acceptances yet, but I've had some interests at least. One editor gave me suggestions for how I could make my manuscript stand out more, so I've been furiously making revisions.
Okay, so she's going that route now.
I finally told my boss that I'd have to decline running the new store. I simply don't have the time for it right now.
Oh, that's too bad. I'm glad your writing's going okay, though.
Me too. Regina was also understanding. Disappointed, but understanding. I actually came up here to do some writing since it's been a while. I take it Juliet's gone to bed already?
Yeah. After breakfast, like usual.
Tell her I said hello later, please. How are things going for the two of you?
What do you mean?
I mean, you've been dating for a few weeks now, right? How's that going?
Oh, it's good, I think.
Really reassuring answer there, Miho. She raises her eyebrows.
You think?
Well...
Aspen still doesn't know about Juliet potentially leaving. How that's been on both our minds. And I promised Juliet that I wouldn't tell her about it either. Seeing me struggle for how to answer, Aspen's face softens a bit.
Would you like to talk about it? Not that I'm much of a help when it comes to this kind of thing, but if you have to think about it for so long, then clearly something is amiss.
I thought you were gonna be busy writing.
I'm not so busy that I can't listen to a friend's troubles, but you don't have to tell me about it if you don't want to.
No... It would be kinda nice to talk about it, I guess. Although, there's some stuff I can't tell you.
That's fine. I understand. Would you like to go back to the dining room for a bit more privacy?
That sounds good.
Leaving the library papers on the desk, two of us go back and sit down at the table.
So, what's eating at you?
Please. Please are eating at me. Oh, you meant... okay.
I don't know where to start.
More specifically, it's hard to say without breaking my promise. But also, it's more than just the uncertainty that's been bugging me.
Let me try then. Do you like dating Juliet?
Yeah,
That one's easy at least.
Good. And I hope you don't mind me asking. Do you think she likes dating you?
I'm pretty sure she does. She says so, at least. We hug and kiss each other a lot, and spend time together when we can.
Good signs.
What do the two of you do together?
We go on walks sometimes. I even got her to hang out with me as a bat for a while, too.
That sounds nice. What else?
We still have breakfast pretty much every day. And sometimes I sit with her while she works. And I read a book or something.
That's good too. Although you already did those before you started dating, right?
Yeah, that stuff hasn't changed too much.
Is there anything else you'd like to do together? Do you ever go on any actual dates? To the movies, or out to dinner, or anything like that?
Nah, we stay at home most of the time.
Aspen pushes her glasses up with one finger, wrinkling her nose like she's studying something.
I think I'm beginning to see the problem.
You are?
I mean, I'm hardly an expert when it comes to matters of the heart. I've just read a lot of books about it.
What you need is a zany scheme.
But it sounds pretty clear that you're wanting something more out of this relationship, right?
Something more? Like what?
I don't know. That's up to you. Affection, attention, reassurance, whatever.
Sounds more like reassurance in this case, I guess.
But if you have to think about if things are going well, or if Juliet feels the same way as you, then that sounds like something's missing.
Something in Aspen's words does ring true. I really do like what I have with Juliet, but sometimes it feels like we're just friends. And there's nothing wrong with that.
I guess you might be right. I don't really know what's normal, though. Or what I should expect. I don't think she does either.
Yeah, no problem, Tiberius. Hope you sleep well. Thanks for stopping by.
I'm not sure there is such a thing as normal. I just think that whatever you have should make you feel more confident and satisfied, not less. That's simply common sense.
Oh, alright. Hopefully your new glasses are nice. I ended up finally sort of like getting a new pair. They're not so much new now, but I got new ones last year, and I'd sort of like left it a while. So like finally got up off my ass and made an appointment. Got retested. Got some new ones. Yeah. Like how they look on you when you test the frames, and going to be blue light glasses. So more for like while using the computer, I guess, or like phones or whatever. Like, yeah, okay, cool, nice.
Yeah, maybe.
I think I passed on those. I was like, yeah, I don't really care. I'm not gonna go get fancy blue light glasses. I'll just get the seeing kind.
Have you expressed any of this to her?
Nah. There's a lot of other stuff on her mind. Besides, like you said, I don't even really know what else it is that I want.
I think you do, even if you aren't aware of it.
Huh?
I mean, listen to yourself. You want to feel more secure in your relationship, right? That's a perfectly normal thing to want, too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure she does have a lot in her mind. She's Juliet. But I should think that her girlfriend's well-being would be near the top of her priority list. Dating someone is supposed to be about give and take. Even I know that much.
What do you think I should do then? Everything you're saying makes sense, but...
No buts. I just think you should talk to her. Whatever secrets you two have going on in the background, I'm sure they don't change the simple facts. And the fact is that if things are going to work out for the two of you, then she's going to have to put in effort as well. I'm sure she couldn't disagree with that.
I guess you have a point.
Though I don't want to admit it, what Aspen's saying feels right. Bringing all this up with Juliet sounds difficult, especially when I'm trying to make her not want to go. I worry that if I tell her everything I'm thinking, it might just make her decide to leave. But I can't deny that one way or another, something has to change.
Of course I do. Even if it's just that talking things out makes things better. If they don't get better, then that's a resolution unto itself. You both have to want what's best for yourselves, and for each other. Hopefully those will line up, but if not, then you're just going to keep feeling this way. I'm not exactly sure how you feel, beyond confused, but I can hardly imagine it's pleasant.
It's not all bad. I really do like the time that I spend with her. I like that we can just be together without saying or doing much. I just wish that wasn't all we did.
Tell her that. If there's one thing I know for sure about Juliet, it's that she's good at listening. It's up to her to learn how to respond.
Yeah, you're right. It feels kind of scary, but it shouldn't, right?
I think it's normal. After all, you've only been together a short time. But if you're in love, if it's meant to be, then you shouldn't be afraid to be open with her about your feelings. That's the only way either of you can grow.
Openness is very important in any sort of relationship, really.
That makes sense.
Sure, there are some times where it's hard to be open or you can't be open, but it is something that I think you should strive for, at least.
You sure do have a lot of good advice for someone who's not an expert.
She's read a lot of books.
I don't really need to be in this case. Besides, I know the two of you well enough to get how things turned out this way. That's why I think it will be all right in the end, too.
I hope you're right. Thanks for talking with me. And for everything you said, too.
Of course. I'm glad I could help. I want things to work out for the both of you.
With our conversation finished, Aspen sets up her writing stuff in the kitchen, since the main room is too crowded, and brews herself a pot of coffee. I go back to my seat at the front to think about what she said. One thing Aspen is definitely right about is that the notion of leaving doesn't change our other problems. Honestly, it's a relief to hear her think of them as problems too. I've been afraid of doing the wrong thing so much that it's kept me from trying to do the right thing. Juliet and I will talk about heavy stuff, and then split up to think about it on our own. Then, when we do spend time together, again, neither of us bring it up. It's been that way because I don't want to bring the mood down or spoil what could be good times. But it's not like that's kept us from feeling bad. Maybe it would be better to just get it over with, painful or not. Maybe it would help us both make up our minds too. It's like a band-aid. Right off! Even if the conclusions we come to are the ones I'm afraid of, it's not like delaying them will make them any less real. Hiding from the truth doesn't make it untrue. Taking a deep breath, I steel myself for the conversation I know I'll have to have later, and start thinking about what it is I want to say. Alright, down to the waterfront with Mr. Kim. Hold on, I should save here. It's like a new little scene thingy. There we go. Alright. Despite all the worries that I have in my everyday life now, fishing with Mr. Kim always offers a nice break from them. Hey there, Kailash, no problem, totally understand. If you're feeling tired, you're feeling tired. I do appreciate you stopping by, though. Hopefully you can get some rest. Oh, and, let's have ourselves a drink. Okay. And let's stretch a little. All right. There we go. Okay. Yeah, so Mr. Kim always offered a nice break from them. When I first started, I thought that all the standing around was boring. Now, I appreciate the downtime that it gives me. Ooh, alright, SMT5. I've been meaning to play... Which one was it? Not Nocturne. Which one? Soul Hackers 2, I think. I've been meaning to play that one. Yes, it's got some mixed reviews, but I mean, it seems like an interesting concept at least, so I do want to give that one a look at least. Also, I wouldn't mind playing the Devil Survivor games, like the remakes of them. I played the original ones a little bit, and I wouldn't mind sort of like doing the remakes. Although like they're on like the 3DS, so PC version, please. PC version, maybe. That would be nice. I mean, I've got them on the 3DS, but I want to play them on computer. All right. How was Soul Hackers anyway? What's your opinion of it? It's just involved enough that I can't totally space out and get lost in my thoughts, but also passive enough that I can relax and not work too hard. Sometimes I catch a lot of fish and sometimes I catch nothing, but either way, I enjoy myself. Carrying the fishing rod Mr. Kim gave me to and from the waterfront has become a nice part of my routine. It feels like it helps me keep my mind set on what I'm doing. Plus, the fact that he gave me something so important means that I have to put it to good use. Good didn't really get far, old computer. Yeah, fair enough. I'm glad you were enjoying it, what you got to play of it at least. When he's not helping the others, Mr. Kim sometimes fishes with me. He shows me all kinds of different bait and tackle, and teaches me some of the different species too. The more time I spend learning, the more I understand what he meant when he told me he tries to get to know the fish and the sea. There's still more than a month before the king is supposed to be in our area. There's plenty of time for me to get acquainted too. I don't know if it'll make a difference or not, but it definitely can't hurt. Aside from that, there isn't a whole lot I can do to prepare. I'll just have to hope that my patience pays off. Even just getting to see the king would be enough for me. If anyone's going to catch him, it should be Mr. Kim, since he's been trying for so many years. I don't know how many other people will be out hunting for him too, but Mr. Kim says it'll be a lot. Either way, I can't wait for December to roll around, when we'll finally get our chance to land him. Yep, no problem. Hope you have a nice nap, Kailash. Alright. After spending some time outside, I get back to the library in the early evening and start closing up for the night. The last few patrons around say goodbye as they trickle past me out the door, and I give absent-minded responses as they go. Aspen must have left something while I was out. Stacking and shelving books gives me something to occupy my hands. But my thoughts are running wild. I keep an ear open for the sounds of Juliet waking up, running water, shutting doors, or even her voice coming down the hallway. I've spent all day thinking about Aspen's words and what I want to say to Juliet. But my feelings are a mess. Regardless, I plan to talk to her tonight. Every other day that I put it off, it's just another day that I'll feel like this. Aspen said I shouldn't be afraid of talking to Juliet, but in this case, it's hard not to be nervous. After all, this conversation could change our entire relationship, for better or worse. That means my entire life could change too. I should be used to potentially changing moments by now, but my heart is still racing. All I can do is trust in myself and in Juliet. Doing those two things have gotten me this far. I just have to speak from my heart and hope that she understands. In a weird way, I'm kind of glad that it feels like there's so much on the line here. No matter what happens, I hope I can have some closure soon. The last library guest eventually leaves, and I finish everything that needs doing. Pointlessly adjusting the chairs and straightening out some papers for the 100th time, I go to the kitchen and make myself a cup of tea. I found myself drinking more tea over the past few weeks. I still don't like the taste on its own, but with enough sugar, I can tolerate it. Making tea is kind of soothing too. Heating up the water, scooping the leaves, watching it steep. I imagine that's why Juliet drinks it, even as a vampire. I mean, she said she likes the smell, right? I sit at the table and sip my drink, unable to do much besides that. I considered going and watching TV, but I know I wouldn't be able to pay attention. So instead, I sit and wait. After what seems like forever, I finally hear sounds from upstairs. I force myself to wait a little bit longer and give Juliet some time to properly wake up. Wiping my palms on my legs, I count the seconds away. When it feels like it's been long enough, I stand up. Before I go upstairs, I refill my mug and prepare a cup of tea for Juliet as well. Again, the simple process helps me to focus on something else for a moment. It clears my mind. Once both cups are ready, I take them and go upstairs. I pause outside Juliet's study, listening for just a second to make sure I'm not interrupting anything. I don't hear anyone else with her, so I knock.
Come in.
I step inside.
Good evening, Miho. I was just about to come down and see you.
Hey, I made you some tea.
I pass her one of the mugs, which she accepts with a smile.
Thank you. That's very thoughtful.
I just nod, taking a seat without being offered.
Can we talk?
Juliet stiffens, probably at my words as well as my actions. This is the only way I can do it, though. It's this or freak out.
Of course.
There's a little shake in her voice, too. It makes me feel a bit better somehow. She doesn't say anything else. Juliet pulls her chair out from behind the desk and sits down close to me, but not touching me. It's not too different from a couple weeks ago, when we sat here and she told me about the Underworld and asked me to go with her. I wonder if she has an idea of what it is I want to talk about. I would be surprised if not. To give myself one last second of preparation, I take a long drink of tea, centering myself around the warmth and aroma. Then I set the mug down on the desk. I force myself to make eye contact with her, even as my mind wants to look away.
Aspen came by the library this morning to do some writing. She said she decided not to take that job at the New Bell House. We talked for a while, and she asked some questions about us. About you and me, I mean.
She looks a little bit wicked over here, with the way that her eyes are sort of like looking away.
She asked how things were going between us, and I told her I don't really know, basically.
Juliet's eyes widen, and I see her swallow. She doesn't say anything. She just waits for me to continue.
She could tell that something was bothering me. I didn't tell her you might be leaving, just to get that out of the way. I kept my promise about that. She asked me some other questions, though, and helped me realize some stuff. Some stuff that I've been feeling for a while, but didn't tell you. Because I didn't want to bother you when you already have so much on your mind. And I was afraid that if I did, it might be another reason to make you want to leave. But talking with Aspen made me realize that if I don't tell you, then it's just going to make things worse. So I spent all day trying to think about how to say it, but still couldn't figure it out. Obviously.
Still silent, Juliet is so motionless as she listens that she could almost pass for a doll. I take a deep breath, looking away from her face.
Do you love me?
My throat contracts as I ask, barely able to whisper. Take a sip of tea to steady myself.
Oh, Miho, of course I do. I do love you. I hadn't meant to make you question that.
Juliet whispers too, also sounding strained. Her hand twitches, like she's going to reach for me, but stops herself.
I love you too.
This time, my words sound more like a gasp. I can feel the imminent pressure of tears, and it's all I can do to keep myself from crying.
I really do. You helped teach me what love even is, and that I could be in love. So that's why. That's why.
2 tears roll down my cheeks as I look into her eyes again, seeing them sparkle as well.
That's why I don't want to have to ask. I just want to know. We say it to each other, and we hug and we kiss, but it feels like that's it. I know we said we didn't need to use certain words or do certain things, and that's true, but sometimes it feels like we're still just friends, like nothing's changed. I like being with you and just doing nothing, but I don't want to always do nothing, and to do things you want to do too. I want to have fun with you, not just make you less sad. Sometimes, I don't even know if I do that. It's not just that you want to leave. I get why you do. But even if I go with you, would things be any different? Or would we still be like this? Because I don't want to keep wondering. I know we haven't been together for very long, but I don't want to keep feeling like you're only with me because I asked, or for my sake. You're always doing things for other people. I love that about you. But I couldn't take it if this was one of those things. Right now, that's how it seems sometimes.
Somehow, I manage to stifle my tears and keep from breaking down entirely. I breathe out deeply, letting my words linger in the air between us. I feel strangely serene, the tempest of anxiety that's buffeted me all days getting calmer. I've said what was on my mind, and so now there's no taking it back. No matter what happens now, no matter what Juliet says, at least I was honest. Next to me, Juliet buries her face in her hands. Her shoulders shake, and I can hear her trying to get herself under control. It feels weird for us to be in these positions. Usually it's the other way around. I slide to the floor and scoot closer, wrapping my arms around her and putting my head against Juliet's side. It's an awkward position and not very comfortable, but it's all I can manage right now. Even while she continues to cry, I feel her place one hand on top of my head, stroking my hair gently as she vents her feelings. I focus on that sensation, and the rise and fall of her chest with every breath, while I wait for her to be able to respond. She let me say my piece uninterrupted, and I want to do the same for her. Slowly, Juliet regains her composure and finally wipes her face with one sleeve. I lean back and sit up. I stay on the floor close to her. It's not the first time I've seen Juliet cry, but I've never seen her look like this before. Now she's a mess.
Miho,
I reach up and take one of her hands, wet with tears.
I don't even know where to begin. I suppose I should start with what's most important.
Juliet stands and I stand with her, like when we danced and several other times after that. We faced each other, just a few inches apart.
I love you, Miho. I truly do. So much that it scares me. And I've let that fear hurt you. I'm not young anymore. From the outside, I've seen so many relationships begin and end. I've had dalliances of my own. I know the volatility of the heart. So, to find myself falling for you so quickly and so deeply, I didn't know how to respond to my own feelings with anything other than doubt. We spoke of this before, with Aspen in the gardens that night. I thought that I could be the kind of friend I said I would. Closer and more vulnerable. I did mean those words, believing that that kind of friendship was enough. Yet even as I promised to be more open, I was already setting new boundaries in my heart. I knew of Aspen's feelings for you at the time, even as I was aware of my own beginning to blossom. When you came to me and asked about love, I expected and even wanted you to accept Aspen's confession. And while I would never, ever have wished for her to forget you like she did, the pathetic relief I felt when you told me you had decided not to return her feelings was indescribable. Over the coming days, as I began to suspect that you might feel the same way about me as I did about you, I found myself of two minds, hoping I was right and hoping I was wrong. Even as I told you that pain and heartbreak were unavoidable parts of connection and relationships, I could feel the sharp sting of hypocrisy in my throat. The words I spoke were true, and yet I had sworn myself away from those things. The thought of being with you was euphoric, and the thought of someday losing you was crushing. Those are both still true as well. That night by the sea, when you said that you loved me, I was so happy and so afraid. By remaining somewhere in the middle, I thought that I was protecting you as well as myself. What a fool I was! All I've done is hurt both of us more.
Can't wait any longer. I pull Juliet towards me, taking her by surprise. She stumbles, but I catch her, wrapping my arms around her again. I hold her as tightly as I can, like I'll never let her go.
I'm sorry, Miho. I am so sorry for making you feel this way for so long.
It's okay. Really. I wouldn't have said all this if I didn't want to make things work.
Thank you. I'll do better from now on, I promise. I really promise this time.
Juliet's lips find mine, and we kiss like it's the first time. In a way, maybe it is. I know things can't be fixed with just one conversation. It's the start, not the end. But it's the start of something exciting, just like when we first shared our feelings with each other. Whatever awaits us in the future, whether it's good or bad or somewhere in between, I'm looking forward to facing it, as long as it's with Juliet. Juliet eventually ends our kiss, but only moves far enough away to look down at me lovingly. Her face is still streaked with tears, and her hair is a disheveled mess. But somehow, I don't think she's ever looked more beautiful to me.
I love you, Miho.
Can't help but smile in response.
I love you too.
I don't doubt her words at all. When Juliet and I finally said our goodbyes for the night and went to sleep, it was with a much lighter heart than the past few days. Before we split up, I asked her to show me how to get to the nature preserve where her friend took the bird, and she walked me through how to reach a shuttle that will take me there. I need something to pass the time before she wakes up, and I want to see how the bird is doing. It seemed like the perfect time to visit. Oh boy. Oh, looks like we've got our ad break. So, I will take a brief pause here, and we will be back in a few moments. And, find out what happened to the bird. We know what happened to the bird. Alright, be back shortly. All right, we are back. But please be happy. Let's continue to be happy, shall we? Hopefully we can be happy. I like being happy. Alright. In the morning, after I get up and out of bed, I have a quick breakfast on my own since I slept in. Then, once I'm ready, I make the short walk to the stop where I can get on the shuttle and ride it the rest of the way there. Alright. And I've got this thing coming up again, do we? Standard save at things, I guess. I don't know. Which one did I pick last time? Did I pick that one last time or that one? I think I picked that one. I'll pick this one just in case.
I think that when he took the tumble that hurt his leg, he must have hurt something inside him too.
Where's the other one? Yeah, whatever. They have no difference. Okay. I spent a few hours wandering around the preserve and never run out of things to see. There are birds, lizards, and all kinds of other creatures, plus a forest that reminds me of Korea. The calm beauty of it all helps me feel better after hearing about the bird. At least it got to spend its last few days in a place as gorgeous as this. After a while, I leave the park and wait for a shuttle to take me back where I came from, and then walk the rest of the way to the library. Once I'm home, I spend the rest of the day napping and watching TV while I wait for Juliet to wake up. That night, I'm dozing in my room, drifting in and out of sleep, and there's a knock at my door. 3 knocks, like always.
Come in.
The door swings open and Juliet stands there. I leap to my feet, sleepiness disappearing in an instant.
Good evening, Miho.
Hey!
She still sounds a little tired. She welcomes me into her arms with a hug and a kiss. I'm sure last night's conversation is still front and center in her mind. The two of us go downstairs and Juliet starts preparing tea, setting a mug at both our spots at the table.
How was your visit to the nature preserve?
It was really nice. I had no idea there was a place like that in Wellington. All those trees. It was even more impressive than the gardens or Mount Victoria.
I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. Were you able to find your bird?
Well, kinda. I found Amaya at least. She told me that the bird passed away.
Oh no, Miho. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I know they did all they could to help it. All of us did. I think I'll go back sometime. Just to look around. I feel like I could spend days there and still find new things.
I'd like to go with you sometime. It's been years since I've gone to visit myself.
That sounds great. I'd love to see it with you.
With a smile, Juliet pours us both some tea and sits down. I dump sugar into mine while she leaves hers untouched.
It's a date then. I was also wondering if you might accompany me somewhere tonight as well.
Oh?
Oh, sure. Where did you want to go?
Well, as I'm sure you know, tomorrow is Halloween. It was always Cosette's favorite holiday. It's also a day to honor the dead. Every year at midnight, I go to lay flowers at her grave.
I reach across the table, offering my hand, which Juliet takes.
Of course I'll go.
Thank you. I thought perhaps we could leave some flowers for Zhongying as well. Only if you want to, of course.
I'd like that. I'm sure they loved flowers. I know I do.
I'm sure they'd be grateful to receive them.
Some human traditions and rituals still seem foreign to me, and not something I'd think about doing myself. That was true for plenty of other things that I now take for granted, though, like holding hands and drinking tea. Once we've both drained our cups, we head out into the night together, beginning the walk to the cemetery. Along the way, Juliet guides us to a patch of wildflowers, where she picks some to leave for Cassette. The ones she chooses have white petals and purple ones. I pick a handful that are dark blue. They remind me of the clothes that Zhong-Yin was wearing when I first met them. Like usual, we're practically the only ones out this late. We pass by houses with the lights off and the curtains drawn, and shops that are too dark to see into. I used to be more comfortable in the nighttime, where I felt invisible and secure. Though I don't feel the need to be hidden just to be safe anymore, I still enjoy the quiet calmness it provides, sort of like the nature preserve earlier. We reach the cemetery, and Juliet leads the way down several trails and through the trees. I remember which grave is Cassette's, even though it doesn't look much different from the others. Juliet and I both come to a stop at the same time, pausing in front of the simple memorial. She stoops down and wipes some dust away from the nameplate, and leaves the bundle of flowers that she chose. They're wrapped with a small ribbon that she brought with her and held in place by a small rock. Then she steps back to stand beside me. I don't say anything, but silently take her hand again. She squeezes tightly. The last time we were here, I ran away as the reality of death and human mortality hit me. Now, knowing what I do and having accepted it, I can appreciate Juliet's loss so much more. So much love and so much of her life are buried just a few feet beneath us, with only a small stone to represent it all. Juliet clears her throat and, still facing Cassette's grave, begins to speak.
Even now, so many years after Cosette passed away, still surprises me sometimes that she's gone. When I wake up, I half expect to hear her laughter from the hallway, or see her reading in the library, or find her shoes by the back door. By holding on to these little memories, these little paints, I thought I could keep her alive in my heart. There's no one else left to remember her. The way her laugh sounded, the books she enjoyed, the clothes she preferred. So I clung to those memories, for fear that they would cease to exist if I didn't. I've told you, Miho, how I've tried to live to honor Cosette, by doing my part to create the kind of world she dreamed about living in. A world of kindness and hope. Believe it or not, that was easy. Any pain or trouble was acceptable so long as it took me closer to that goal. Until one day, it wasn't. At the time, I thought that helping you was just another step down the path I had chosen for myself. But as time went on, and you blossomed and learned to live, it made me realize that I had reached a dead end. I had spent so long striving for this new world that I forgot to appreciate the one around me. And when I realized that, I felt trapped. Were I to stray from my path, I didn't know where it would take me. My world wasn't there anymore. Not just Cosette. Not just the people we knew. Technology improved. People's lives improved. And everything moved forward. Everything but me. All I could think to do was run away, as I always have when faced with a difficult problem. Whether throwing myself off of the world or refusing to face a life without my daughter. The only direction I've ever been able to move is backwards. Last night, when you told me that you wanted to do the things I'd like to do, for me to take the lead more often, being with you is the first thing I've wanted for myself in a long, long time. To the point where I'm not even sure how to do that.
Finally, Juliet faces me. Just like last night. Just like in the library. Just like so many other times before.
Can you show me? Can you show me how to move forward?
One step at a time, Juliet. One step at a time. I gently take both of Juliet's hands and guide them to my heart, holding them against me. I can feel every beat and know that she can too.
We can figure it out together. You already helped me with that after all. After I found out Jungin was dead, I felt the same way. Like I didn't know what else to do with my life or with myself. If you think about it, by searching for them for so long, I'd been doing the same thing you were all this time. But it was because of you and Aspen that I decided to stay in Wellington. The two of you showed me how to keep going, even when I didn't know where to go. And how just because they aren't around anymore, that doesn't change what they did for me. I wouldn't be here talking to you if it wasn't for them. So I'll always be grateful for that, even though they've been gone for so long.
Turn to look at Cassette's grave beside us. It would be fair to say that she's changed my life too, indirectly.
It's the same thing with you and Cosette. She made your life great, and I'm sure you made hers great too. I didn't know her, but from everything you've told me about her, I'm sure she wouldn't want you to hurt or feel sad about her all the time. I'm sure she would have wanted you to smile when you think of her, and to find lots of other reasons to smile too.
Juliet also studies the moonlit grave. I wonder if she's picturing Cassette the person, or if she's seeing the stone for what it is. After a long time, she nods.
Yes. Yes, I do believe you're right. I'll never stop loving her, or missing her. She lived a wonderful life, and died a peaceful death. She'll remain at peace forevermore. But I'm still alive, and it's time that I acted like it. We can make a new life for ourselves here, one step at a time, together.
Right. Together. You're not alone anymore. Neither of us are. I just have one question, though. You said here. Does that mean that you'll stay?
Yes. Maybe someday we'll go. But I want it to be because both of us want to. Not just me.
That's lovely. And it's not just about moving as well. It's about her wanting to live as well. Because obviously she was going to the Underworld to slowly die and age, pass away.
There's plenty of time for that in the future. Right now, I think I'd like to learn to enjoy Wellington again. To see it the way you do. Fresh and exciting.
Let's go fishing.
I'd like that too.
Or perhaps you would like to star in a play? Relief washes over me like a wave. I was prepared to go with her, if it's what she really wanted. But I'd much rather stay here for a while longer. After tonight, it feels like I can finally relax, without worry following me around. Juliet and I are still together, and we're not going anywhere. Whatever happens next, I'm sure we'll be able to handle it, because we have each other. I let go of Juliet so that I can step forward and place the flowers that I brought for Zhong-Yin on the ground beside Cosette's grave. They're a little bit smushed, but I'm sure that's alright. I don't think they'd mind. Almost immediately, a light breeze picks up, scattering the bundle lightly to the winds. I think that's alright too. I'll never forget about Zhong-Yin either. No matter how far I go and how many people I meet, they'll always be special to me. They set me on my own path, the one that I walked for decades. If I could somehow tell them about everything I've seen and done since then, and about the new adventures that I'm sure to have with Juliet, I think they'd be just as excited for me as I am. I'm sad I never got to thank them properly, but just like Cosette and Juliet, I think that living my life to its fullest is the best way I could do that. Juliet and I stay quiet for a little bit longer, both reflecting on everything. Finally, she puts her arm around me and gestures with her hand in the direction that we came from.
Well, shall we be getting back to the library? I imagine you could use some rest before tomorrow evening's activities.
Sounds good to me. I'm ready to go if you are.
Juliet turns to give one last look at the grave. The flowers she placed shake in the breeze, while mine are spread further and further. She smiles at me.
Yes. I think I'm ready.
Oh, there's our more conversations there. Oh, Small Wonders, Chapter 5. Alright. Here we go. Let's save this. And it's a lovely picture there. Onwards we go. November passes without much trouble as summer gets closer and it grows warmer outside. Life at the library is the same as ever in a lot of ways. Mornings are for breakfast with Juliet, and the days are spent working or with my friends. Juliet occasionally stays up late so that she can help out around the library more and get to know the patrons better. Aspen comes by when she can, sometimes only staying for a meal and sometimes spending the day with us. I haven't seen Silver since Halloween, so over a month by now, but I'm sure she's still out there somewhere. It's the evenings that have changed the most for Juliet and me. We spend more time together, and not just at home. True to her word, we go for walks more often, or out to dinner, and to other fun places too. We still spend plenty of quiet time with each other too, of course. The days are getting longer and longer, which means more sunlight for her to avoid. The whole month goes by like that, and so does the start of December. Before I know it, we're just a couple weeks away from the end of the year. I look out the window of the nearby empty shuttle as it takes Juliet and I out of Wellington. She sits beside me, reading quietly. The view outside is new to me, and watching the busy city streets gradually turn into a nature-lined highway keeps me entertained. I'm glad for the sights. We'll be traveling for a couple hours. It's a long way to the edge of the world. Around the time it becomes too dark for me to see very well is when Juliet tucks a bookmark into her novel and closes it, peering out into the night beside me.
It's not too much longer, I think. I don't remember for sure, though.
Meteor shower?
It's alright. I'm having a good time. I don't mind long rides when I'm not stowing away in a cabinet or something.
That was how you first came to Wellington, right?
Yup. Although, I think I had about as much legroom as the other passengers did that time. This bus is pretty comfy, though.
Indeed. I'm glad it runs through the night. Last time I made this journey, I flew.
As a bat?
Yes, it's been that long.
No, as an eagle.
I'm not sure I could run that far, even as a fox.
Most people walked back then, which could take several days. I much prefer how it is now.
Me too. Even though it's my first time.
Totally understand that feeling. There are a handful of others on board the bus with us, most of them with bags or other belongings close by. We're probably the only ones who plan to be returning to Wellington tonight. We make a few other stops along the way, and someone gets off at each of them. But it's just the two of us and the driver who remain.
Going all the way to the edge?
Yes. We won't be descending, though.
Been a while since I've gone that far. You're heading back after, then?
We intend to. I'm saying goodbye to a friend. Will there still be shuttles operating in a couple hours?
Oh, I'm guessing this is like referring to the edge as in like where you go to the Underworld. And she's... okay, yeah.
I'll wait for you. Otherwise, you could be sitting around all night.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Sure. We'll be there before too long.
Farther we go, the narrower the roads start to become again. The trees and foliage also thin out until they practically disappear. Finally, the shuttle pulls into a small unpaved lot. Juliet leaves her book on her seat, and the two of us disembark. There, under the moonlight, I get my first look at the overworld's edge. A metal fence runs along the abyss, seeming to stretch forever in either direction. It's similar to the one at the top of Mount Victoria, much taller. Out beyond the fence is the open air and nothing else. Just pure, endless nothingness. More stars than I've ever seen in my life decorate the sky. It's windier here than it is in the city, windy enough to be loud. A short footpath leads past a small empty building. Grass covers the area where we are, but fades into dirt and rock not too far away. The path ends at a small entryway that makes the only gap in the fence. It's nicer than the rest of the area. Can't imagine the lift itself has changed very much since Juliet first arrived here. A shadowy figure stands there, waiting for Juliet. I gently nudge her forward.
Take your time.
Thank you, dear. I'll try not to be too long.
I watch as she strides ahead, meeting with Ezekiel in the shadow of the arch. I knew coming out here that their conversation would be between them alone. I want both of them to be able to say whatever they want to each other without worrying about me eavesdropping. My ears are more sensitive than they suspect! Besides, I'm more interested in exploring. While the two of them talk, I decide to look around. I head over to the barrier. It sits right at the edge of the void, close enough that I can peer over the side. There's not much to see though, only stone and darkness. The Underworld is down there, far, far below, but it's invisible from here. I wonder what the view is like during the day. Probably the same, but with blue sky instead of black. Nowadays, most fables travel between the overworld and underworld on much faster elevators or use magical means. There are even airships that go up and down between the two. This is the first lift that I've ever heard of that's this old and slow. I doubt there are many of them left anymore. Still, it's not a surprise that this is how Juliet's friend would want to return. It probably exists for people like him, who are old enough to remember how things used to be. I've heard that on some of the overworld's other edges, oceans spill over the sides like a waterfall, or towns are built on smaller shards of floating stone. It's a little boring here in comparison. I'd like to see the underworld at some point. I'm not sure that I'd want to live there, but maybe I'll change my mind when I go. I'm sure that Juliet and I will visit it together someday. Now that I'm not dreading the thought of leaving Wellington behind, I can appreciate the idea of moving castles and magic forests more than I could before. I walk for a while, following the rail so it's impossible to get lost. Turns out that things aren't any more exciting further along though, just more grass and dirt. Eventually, I go back in the direction I came from, and it's not too long before I hear the distant sound of the lift departing. When I get back to the starting point, I find Juliet standing alone as the lift slowly descends. I walk to her side.
Ah, there you are. I was wondering where you'd gone. Thank you for waiting for me.
Nah, I decided to go catch the bus and leave without you. Enjoy waiting until morning.
Of course. I just walked for a bit, but there wasn't much to see. How'd it go?
We said what I expect will be our last goodbyes. He goes eagerly to a well-deserved rest.
How do you feel? Are you okay?
I am. I'm grateful for everything. In the end, our paths diverged, and we're both going our separate ways without any regrets.
I don't say it, but I'm sure Juliet is thinking the same thing I am. Ezekiel was her last tie to her former life. Former lives, even. Now, it's just her and I, and the infinite possibilities ahead of us. From here on out, the future is what we create. Linking hands, we look out at the stars together. They twinkle and shine just for us.
Can you see the stars from the Underworld?
Not like this. Not so bright and bold and infinite.
I'd miss them if I couldn't see them anymore.
As would I. As would I.
1. We return to the waiting shuttle and the long ride back to the library. By the time we arrive, both of us are exhausted. Lately, we've been on the same schedule more often. Not just so she can spend more time at the library, but so we can be awake at the same time too. She has to take midday naps every now and then to make it work, but that doesn't seem to bother her too much. Before we can go inside, Juliet stops me with a gentle touch. She turns to me. I gaze up sleepily as she leans in to kiss me. Even through the layers of fog settling on my brain, I am able to appreciate the softness of her hands and warmth of her lips. I put my own hand on her shoulder, steady myself, just to feel closer to her. When she pulls away, we still remain close together.
Thank you, Miho, for going with me today, and for giving me a reason to come back.
Thanks for making me want to stay. I'd like to go there with you, someday. But right now...
My now turns into a big yawn. Juliet smiles.
I agree. Right now, let's just get some sleep.
When I wake up for breakfast, I find Juliet frowning in the kitchen.
Morning! What's wrong?
She has the fridge door open and is looking into it intently.
Good morning. It isn't a big deal, but I could have sworn there was still half a block of cheese left that I was going to serve with breakfast today. But now I can't find it.
Callista stole it.
Did you have it for a snack?
Nope. Maybe we ate the rest of it yesterday. There was cheese on our sandwiches for dinner.
That must be it. I just forgot.
It's okay. I'm fine with toast and eggs like always.
Coming right up.
When Juliet prepares the food... while Juliet prepares the food, I make us some tea. Juliet still does most of the cooking, but tea has become my responsibility a lot of the time. I like it, as it gives me a way to help contribute to our meal. I've even been cooking for myself sometimes, although Juliet's food is still way tastier. Naturally, breakfast is good, even without any cheese. Once we're done eating and just sitting together, Juliet reaches over and takes my hand.
Miho, there's something I wanted to ask you.
Sure. What's up?
Earlier this morning, I saw that I'd received a reply to him.
Okay.
Ooh.
I hope she responds soon. I'm gonna be thinking about it all day.
This is, a meeting the Descendant, right?
If I hear from her earlier, I'll let you know right away. For now, let's go open up the library.
Right.
Juliet and I both go up to the front and settle down for another day of work. Around sundown that evening, I grab my fishing pole and make my way to the waterfront. It's finally time. This morning, I got a call from Mr. Kim saying that the King of the Ocean had been spotted close by yesterday, and he should be passing by Wellington tonight. After months of waiting, or a whole year of it in Mr. Kim's case, we'll get our chance at seeing the legendary fish. Down by the bay, there are a lot more fishes out than usual. Some have tents and chairs set up, while others only brought their gear. Mr. Kim is waiting on the pier like usual.
Good to see you, Miho. Feeling lucky today?
I sure hope so. It's packed out there.
Sure is. Tonight's one of those nights that we fishermen dream of.
How long do you think it'll be until he gets here?
Hard to say. There's a whole network of folks who watch the waters all up and down the coast, and they'll give us a ring if anyone spots him. But there's no guarantee that he'll be close enough to see. Sometimes he passes through deeper waters before coming inland somewhere else.
So, what you're saying is we could be here all night.
It's a certain possibility. Sleepiness has ended many an angler's quest to spot the king. If you have to go early, I'll understand.
Are you gonna stay out here the whole time?
Mr. Kim is dedicated.
If that's what it takes. Or if I hear that he skipped over us this year.
I'll stay too. I've waited this long to see him. I can't just give up at the end.
You gotta take your chance to meet the king, right?
That's the spirit. I've got coffee and black tea to help keep sleep away.
We walk to the end of the pier and sit down, keeping our rods close by. Oh, this is a nice scene. The setting sun makes for a beautiful sky, and I tilt my head up to admire. Mr. Kim does the same.
Mother Nature sure knows how to paint, doesn't she?
Mm-hmm.
It's a little chilly, especially out here on the water, and I wrap my arms around myself to stay warm.
If we don't catch him this year, will you try again next year?
Of course. And again, and again.
What if we do get him?
I think once is enough for me. Beyond that, I'll just be getting greedy. You can bet I'll still be out here, though, even if I'm not fishing for the king.
I don't know if I'd be able to keep trying for as long as you have.
Oh? Why's that? It's easy. You just start, and then you don't stop.
The trick to playing games. Don't die, and make make the enemy die. Just don't get hit. Easy strategy.
I'd like to catch the king, of course, but I've come to enjoy the waiting just as much. It's something to look forward to.
And if you do catch the king, there's nothing stopping you from coming out here and just watching him arrive again, even if you don't want to catch him a second time.
If I miss him, I'm disappointed, of course, but it just means that I get to try for another year.
When I first started fishing, I thought all the waiting around was pretty boring. I kind of get it now, though.
There's an understanding between us fisher folk and the sea, I think. It's give and take on both sides.
What do you give to the ocean?
Time. Patience. Like any friend, it needs attention for your relationship to grow. Whether that's cleaning up garbage from the shores or teaching someone to appreciate the joys of fishing.
The two of us sit together for hours, trading stories about the places we've been. Mr. Kim tells me about the Korea he comes from, and I tell him about mine. He even pulls out a thermos of meontang, a spicy fish stew, for us to share. It's as delicious as the dinner he shared with me a couple months ago. As the evening winds on, a lot of the fishers waiting by the shore gradually get up and go home. I guess they must be getting tired of waiting. Mr. Kim and I pass some of the time by fishing for other things, or walking around to give our legs a break. As twilight starts to come to an end, my ears twitch, picking up the sound of distant shouting. It starts off far away, probably too far for Mr. Kim to hear. But when he notices me tilting my head to listen, he walks over. The shouting starts to get louder as it gets closer. It's not one person yelling, but a chain of them, the message being carried along the coast. Hey there, Kuro! How you going? Working, I see. That's unfortunate, but all the best. Hopefully your day goes swiftly and painlessly. I shall have fun and be happy.
He's here! They spotted the king!
Uh-huh. All up and down the beach, the fishes are hopping to their feet and casting their lines. Some of those who are in the middle of leaving hurry back to the shore.
He's here!
Mr. Kim's voice echoes along as he passes along the news to the people on our other side.
Let's go, mijo!
Both of us cast our lines out, and I lean forward to try to get a glimpse of the fish himself.
Where is he?
He could be anywhere. Keep an eye out.
Mr. Kim shades his eyes with one hand to search around, and I can see other fishes doing the same. I wonder how far away from here the king was actually spotted. How many people are waiting for him? The news could have come from pretty far away. The ocean looks the same as ever to me, lapping gently against the pier where we're standing. Occasionally someone reels in a normal fish, but nothing out of the ordinary. Suddenly, I notice something sparkling in the water, several meters away from where we are. First, I think it's just a trick of the light. But then it moves, disappearing and reappearing a little bit closer. I tap on Mr. Kim's shoulder to get his attention and point.
Hey, is that?
The sparkling disappears and doesn't resurface. Both of us watch with bated breath, ready to start reeling at the first sign of a bite.
There!
Mr. Kim stabs a finger towards the sea, and I watch the spot he's pointing at. Sure enough, I see that light again. This time, it's close enough to see the vague shape of a fish, but not near enough to see clearly.
The king!
Thank you very much. The glittering fish slowly comes closer, moving in short bursts. Sometimes it dashes up in another direction, and wriggles back towards us. Finally, it comes into view. It's a carp! Or a koi or something. Maybe a catfish, I don't know. The king of the ocean swims in front of us, 4 long whiskers streaming from his face. His scales are shades of beautiful blue and purple, that shine with other colors too as the sunlight hits him. He's bigger than any fish I've ever seen, but still smaller than a person. Swimming just below the surface, his top fin sometimes breaks through the water. I get a good glimpse of his big eyes as he passes us by. The sparkle disappears as he dives down deeper on his way.
Whoa.
Whoa, indeed! I've never seen him that close before. This must be my lucky day after all.
Even though he didn't stop for us, my heart races with the thrill of seeing the king at all.
That was worth the wait.
He was so far out, I'll bet a lot of the fishes on the shore didn't get to see him at all.
Glad you think so. Well, I wonder where he'll be.
Mr. Kim cuts off mid-sentence as we both see the same thing. The sparkle of the king's scales reappear near the pier. The king comes closer and closer, and dives down again and disappears. Mr. Kim and I look at each other, hold my breath, as if moving could spook the fish. Seconds pass, then a minute. Then I feel a tug.
I've got a bite!
Reel it in, mijo!
I try, but the fish on the other end is fighting back. I have to hold on tight, just to avoid having the fishing rod yanked out of my hands.
I need help!
Mr. Kim comes to my side and grabs the handle too. Both of us work together to pull and reel, and slowly, I feel us start to gain ground. The two of us brace ourselves, and then both pull as hard as we can. With a huge splash, the king breaks through the surface of the water, dangling from the end of our line. He hangs there for a moment, looking at us like he's judging us. The two of us stare back in silent awe as I realize something. The king let us win. After only a couple seconds, he opens his mouth and spits out the lure, freeing himself and plunging back into the ocean. All that remains are the ripples, and in a moment, even those are gone too. Other fishes who saw what happened start to gather around, congratulating us and cursing us. Mr. Kim handles all the praise with a smile and a laugh, while I try to stay to the side and avoid as much attention as I can. It takes a while for the crowd to disperse before finally leaving us alone.
Well, Miho, we did it!
Did anyone get a picture?
Yeah. I can't believe he came back to us.
Maybe he didn't like the look of what they were serving farther up the shore. Either way, thanks for helping an old dream come true.
I ought to thank you. Besides, we reeled him in together.
That we did. My wife will never believe it. I guess that's what I get for exaggerating about the size of some of my past catches.
Classic fisherman tales.
That's alright, though. You and I will both know the truth.
Yeah. Plus the 7 years of good luck, right?
Oh, that's true. I'd almost forgotten. Maybe it'll only be 3.5 for each of us, though.
Maybe, or maybe he gives it to both of us, who knows.
I'd say that's more than enough.
Yeah, me too.
The sun has fully gone down by the time Mr. Kim and I pack up to head home. Before he climbs onto his bike, he gives me one last wave.
Well, we won't be preparing for the king, but will I see you down at the fishing spot again?
Of course! I've still got a whole lot more to learn.
That's the spirit. Until next time, Miho.
See you later!
How lovely. Land a legendary catch with Mr. Kim. New old friends. Okay. Later that night, I find myself lying awake, looking at the ceiling. Juliet's out running some late-night errands, so I'm home by myself. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk to someone related to Zhongyin. It's kind of hard to believe. Juliet told me around dinner time that she'd heard back from the person that she had emailed and set up a time for us to chat. As I'm lying there, thinking about what I'll ask tomorrow, I hear a muffled thump from the kitchen downstairs. I sit up. It's a little early for Juliet to be back. Maybe she forgot something? That doesn't seem likely, though. I move silently as I get up and leave my room. I'm out of practice when it comes to being stealthy, but some things just come naturally. It's dark downstairs, just like we left it when we closed up for the night and I went to bed. I tiptoe over to the kitchen, peeking into the darkness. What made it fall over? You're getting a few sort of like repeat dialogues here, but some that aren't. Suddenly, the door to the fridge swings open, all on its own. Light shines out of it, revealing nothing. I pinch myself to make sure I'm not dreaming. Is Silver taking our cheese? Right before my eyes, an apple and half a sandwich that I made earlier float up off the shelf and into the open air, and the door shuts behind them, bringing back the darkness. The apple and sandwich float out of the kitchen and towards the front of the library, turning the corner and disappearing into the book room. I swallow. Some kind of magic is clearly at work here, but I don't know what kind. I consider going upstairs to get my phone and call Juliet, but my curiosity gets the better of me. Quickly but quietly, I follow in the same direction, poking my head around just in time to see the food float behind one of the far shelves. I take deep breaths as I move towards it, feeling my old fight or flight instincts kicking in for the first time in months. Pressing my back against the shelf, slowly peer around the corner. Hello? This is a completely new person. Sitting on the ground with her back against the wall is a young girl. Her pointy ears mark her as some kind of fabled rather than a human. She has the apple in one hand and the sandwich in another, and a raggedy blanket beneath her. Are we going to adopt the child together? She takes a noisy bite of the apple, smacking her lips as she chews, followed by a noisy bite of the sandwich. Whatever I was expecting, it wasn't a kid. I jerk backwards in surprise, so startled that my shoulder bumps against the bookshelf, causing a couple books to fall on their sides with a heavy smack. I whip my head back around to see the girl drop the apple in fright, her eyes going huge. I step out in front of her, about to ask her name or what she's doing. The girl's scream takes me by surprise too, and in an instant, she disappears from sight. 1 second she's there, and the next, she's not.
What the?
I hear footsteps and feel the air move as she rushes past me, and I realize what's happened. She can turn invisible.
Hey, wait!
Reach out in the direction I think she is, but grab only empty air. I don't even know what I'd have done if I somehow caught her. Running towards the front, I arrive just in time to see the front door open and close immediately as she hurries outside. I follow, throwing the door wide as I go. As I step out onto the front porch though, I know she's already gone. Studying the darkness, I look for any sign of her, but don't see or hear anything. For all I know, she could be right next to me. I consider calling out to her. I'm sure she wouldn't believe anything I'd have to say. What would I say? Judging by the blanket, she was probably planning to sleep in the library. The spot she chose wasn't too far from the one I picked when I was going to do the same thing. Missing cheese from this morning makes sense now too. How long has she been doing this? It's possible that other food has gone missing too and we just didn't notice. I don't know how old she is, but it was clear that she's just a child. Did she run away from home or something? Or does she not have one? It's a comfortable night out, without any threat of rain, which is a relief. I know that even the best night outside doesn't really compare to having a roof over your head. I stay out front for a little while longer, but of course she doesn't come back. Or at least she doesn't show herself. Eventually, I return to the spot where she was hiding. The apple lies on its side, already turning brown in the one spot where a bite was taken. Cheese, tomato, and mayonnaise stick to the floor where the sandwich fell apart. Slices of bread nearby. I clean everything up, tossing the dirty food into the trash. Then I make another sandwich and grab another apple, wrapping those in a paper towel, just like when I took some food to Silver. I also grab the ratty blanket. It has holes running through lots of it, and doesn't feel very warm to begin with. I fold it up and go back outside, setting it down on the edge of the porch along with the food. Then I return to my room. From my bedroom window, I have a clear view of the path to the library. I watch for a while, waiting to see if the girl returns, but she doesn't. Maybe I scare her away for good. If I'd been in her position, I probably wouldn't come back anytime soon. Eventually, my eyes get heavy and I lie down, settling into bed. Wherever the girl is out there, I hope she's able to get some decent sleep. Alright. So we're at the 2-hour mark right now. I'm also getting close to the end of the game. I feel like if I were to continue, it would probably... I would probably have to go long to finish, or we'd end and then we'd only have like a little bit left next stream. So probably what I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap up early today, and hope that I have timed it correctly, so that we won't have too much sort of like overlap or anything like that, because I can sort of like see over here that chapter 5 isn't necessarily too long, right? And we've got to be fast forwarding like a few stuff as well, I imagine. So yeah, well, this is day 3 there. What's the day 5 there say? What was it again? It was day 1. Okay, yeah, we're gonna wrap things up here, I think.
I'm gonna take a 5.
All right. So, hopefully, you're fine with wrapping up a little bit early so that we've got some things to stream for next stream, and hopefully I didn't time things incorrectly and like find out that I've got like an hour left and it would have like absolutely fit completely. That would be embarrassing. So let's see. Now on Friday, we are going to go do our Discord event, and on the weekend we are going to do some more Super Robot Wars. So look forward to that, everyone. Now, let's go and raid somebody, shall we? And I think let's go and raid. Let's go raid Madra Mimi, shall we? Mimi is playing some Valheim right now, so I'll be a little bit more action-packed than what we were doing today. Alright. So, thank you very much as always, and I hope to see you all next time. Alright, see ya!